There are a lot of different ways to prompt someone to use their communication system. We encourage people to use a least to most prompting strategy in order to provide communication opportunities. So take a look at our chart. Over on the right, we have some different prompts, starting with indirect and moving toward more direct. On the left are some key points to remember. It's really important to start with the indirect prompts and move towards the more direct, only if they're needed. You don't need all of the prompts to use all the prompts in the indirect category, but choose one or two, maybe a couple together at the same time. Waiting before each prompt, before moving on, is also very important. This does take practice because we tend to talk way too much when we're prompting someone. So practice giving a prompt and then maybe counting to 3 in your head. Depending on the person you're working with, you may need to wait a little longer so they have time to think about what you said, find the word or the message, and then make that selection. For others, counting to 3 may be too long. Sometimes if we use too many of the direct prompts or direct physical support, the person will become dependent on that support. We have to remember overuse of any of these prompting strategies can lead to prompt dependence. So we want to fade out the use of prompts and the frequency and the level of prompts so a person can be really as independent as possible in their communication. We've worked with some people who won't make any selections until they receive some form of prompting from their communication partner. In one case, this gentleman would hover his finger over the icon and then look at his communication partner, waiting for a signal that it was okay to make the selection. In another case, a gentleman would hold his own hand while he was making selections. I think he received a lot of hand-over-hand support over the years. Start by modeling that new vocabulary without expecting the person to make any selections, and then work through this least to most prompting strategy. In some cases, I'll say to an individual, let's say it together, or let me show you how to say that, and then I'll place my hand under their hand, and we'll make the selections together. Well, let's look at the indirect prompts. Again, you don't need to step through all of these, but choose one or maybe a combination of these. So the first one on the list is natural prompt. This is a behavior, a statement, or a question that commonly occurs in the environment, leading to a communication opportunity. This could be a wave or a question, how are you? The next one on the list is sabotage. This is setting up the environment to create a communication opportunity. So for example, you could forget to give an ingredient for a cooking activity. Now, next on our list is indirect verbal prompt. That's a spoken cue that does not contain the target message. For example, saying, uh-oh, your crackers are all gone, to elicit a request for more. Next, we have draw attention. So this is helping a person focus on their communication system. You can tap on the system or use a sweeping gesture with your hand or a flashlight. Proximity changes the position of the system to help the person see it better, or to help with their motor abilities to access it, or to help them get attention to the system. So we might move the person towards the system, or you can put the communication board in between the person and the item that they want, or maybe gently nudge them on the elbow to start their movement toward the device or the system. Another way is to bring the device close to the person while asking them a question, and then moving it back once they've made a selection. You can also bring the person to the system. We might have a switch mounted by the door that says, let's go for a walk. And so you bring a person over and help them hit that while we exit the door. So you can really use any one of these or a combination of these indirect prompts. It's important to respond to anything a person selects on their system, and then redirect them to your original question or prompt. Or maybe follow their lead and move on to what they want to talk about. If there's no response to the indirect prompts, then we can move towards the transitional prompt of defining the field. This is a spoken or a visual cue to narrow the field of choices. So we can indicate the color of a button, or point to multiple choices like, do you want more, or do you want to stop? Another technique is to use an overlay mask to isolate the choices. So the first on our list of the direct prompts is direct verbal, and that includes the word that you are prompting for. For example, let me know if you need help. Next on the list is a pointing prompt. This is when you point to the target message without selecting it. It looks like you need help, and then waiting for the person to make the selection. And finally, on our direct prompts, we have navigation. This is when you make selections on the system to navigate to the correct area or page. This might be used when flipping to fringe vocabulary or when navigating to a page on a higher tech dynamic display device. And finally, we move to direct physical prompts, if necessary. We may use this to teach a motor sequence for selecting words or to support a person's arm while they're making selections. Remember, we don't want to use this type of prompting too much. And if we do use it, fade it out quickly. So there you have it, our least to most prompting strategies. Remember, start with the green, work your way down as needed.